From the wild north in bonnie Scotland to the busy streets and parks of inner city London. This is Gundogs and Guard Dogs, the ultimate podcast dedicated to talking sense about dogs, with Les Graham and Ross McCarthy. And both are passionate about dogs, people, education and exploring the fascinating world of the dog. But one specialises in gun dogs and the other prefers guard dogs. And yes, just like their dogs, they are as different as chalk and cheese. They bring you valuable insights and honest conversations about the social predator you share your home with. So here we go. About 45 minutes of gun dogs, guard dogs, good dogs, some maybe not so good dogs, and a dash of gossip.
Les Graham, hello.
Hello. How are you doing?
I'm all right, thank you very much. How are you today?
I'm good. Winter is definitely upon us. You're sitting there in a hoodie and a t-shirt, and I'm sitting here in a merino wool polo neck.
It's actually, well, you would be in Scotland, wouldn't you? But actually here today, it's really lovely. It's going to be quite mild again next week, and it's like 22 degrees.
It might be in England, but it isn't in Scotland.
Well, never is it really?
No, not really. It let me get my trusty, oh my goodness, 15 degrees. Heavy rain today, rain tomorrow, heavy rain Saturday. Oh, we'll get a lovely balmy 17 degrees on Sunday.
Oh, wow, that's lovely. The only time I'm ever jealous of you being up there is when we're like sweltering in like 38 degrees here. You're like 21 out walking your dogs.
I know. And you can go out in the car still without getting burnt or fried.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, burning your legs on the leather seats.
Yes, yeah. So have you had a good fortnight?
Good fortnight, busy fortnight. Various things as we do, doggy things.
Teaching,
lots of teaching, lots of or maybe not lots of marking student work. Lots of student work to mark. But yes, got lots of that to do. But yeah, been out, had a few clients, a few dog assessments, things like that. So yeah, nice few weeks. What about you?
Teaching. Marking homework.
Doing
the Pet Gun Dog Club has had assessments going on, so I've been sorting them out and awarding people, and yeah, which is really good.
It's nice.
And yeah, writing and catching up with myself and doing social. You know what it's like.
Yeah,
social media. It's like the whole shebang, isn't it?
Oh, it's non-stop fun, isn't it? Non-stop rock and roll, this.
Who wants to go self-employed?
Yeah. Yeah, it has its moments, doesn't it? Well, it does. I mean, we're really lucky, aren't we, that we get to do what we want to do and work the hours we want to work, and you can sort out your own schedule, but equally it's hard work and you're never quite sure. You're not getting a salary, are you? So
no.
Makes it quite difficult.
Like you have to do your accounts, and you do them on a weekend or a night time or first thing in the morning, because if you don't, then it's eaten into your work day. Like you work day rather than your admin day.
Yeah, you work day. See, I don't do that. I save all my receipts, a load of old paperwork, and then I've got a bookkeeper who once a year
Oh, you don't give them a shoebox full of receipts, do you?
Not even a shoebox. It all goes in a carrier bag. Just drop it off, apologise.
That's terrible.
And leave. Yeah.
Oh my God. God. So last year, I'm quite anal about my accounts. I'm like, I keep spreadsheets.
I know you are.
My accounts, and last year I had such a terrible year with like operations and COVID and all of that lot. And I became Ross McCarthy, and I had a drawer on my desk, and it was just full of receipts.
Oh no.
And I've been self-employed since like 95. And I thought, I'm never going to be that person. And last year I was that person.
I'm never going to be like Ross.
I am never going to be that person who turns up with a shoebox full of receipts and gives it to the accountant to sort out.
I am that person.
I was that person last year.
Oh God.
It was shocking. Right up until April when I did the accounts year end.
And did you sort it all out yourself? You did it, you were ploughed through it all yourself?
Well, I'd already put them in the spreadsheet. I just hadn't filed the receipts.
Oh, you are good.
So no, I just put them in a file and put them with my accounts. But they're all on the spreadsheet. They were all logged. They were just not filed.
Oh wow. Oh God. Yeah, mine are not logged all the time.
No, all in order. I'm really, yeah, no, I can't stand chaos and disorder and
No. No, I don't. As long as I can't see it, I don't mind. Like you said, if I stuff it in a drawer and I can't see it, that's fine. I don't want to sit and look at it.
no,
But
I shoved it all in a drawer. I mean, I'm in the middle of sorting my office out. We decorated it and I haven't put it back yet. I've still got like, you can see them like there, the stacks of books that need to be put away and the stuff here needs to be put away. And so I find it really difficult working in chaos, but then you run out of time to do anything, don't you?
yeah,
I
it's
guess put the
prioritising
next
stuff,
weekend
isn't it?
and then next weekend. And
No, it's difficult. Priorities. Luckily, we're not here to talk about accounting, isn't it? Otherwise,
actually, I've just been to get my I've got a piercing, another piercing in my ear, so I've just been to get it checked,
yeah.
after 4 weeks, and I found that my accountant has got a podcast.
Wow.
So I was listening to his podcast, and I thought, oh, that sounds quite interesting. I've never heard of that before. It's just really
Ah,
bad. Yeah, Notion, the second brain. It's like it made me think. You're not a Harry Potter fan, are you? But it made me think of the pensive, where he just dumps all of his thoughts into this pensive and pulls them out when he needs them.
yeah.
There's a bit of software called Notion, which is second brain, and you literally just brain dump into it, and then you could do searches for stuff. And I thought that sounds really interesting. When I have time in 10 years' time, I might have a look at that.
Ooh. How? What's that got to do with having your ear pierced? Then I missed the part.
I I was looking for something to listen to when I was driving,
Right.
and I found the accountant's podcast because it's like a
Right.
40-minute drive. So I listened to his podcast.
Wow.
Mm.
That sounds incredibly dull.
It was interesting actually. It was quite humorous.
Oh, was
So
it? Oh,
yeah.
good. No, there's
Okay,
loads of
so
stuff.
if we're not here to talk about accounts and work, what are we here to talk about today?
We are talking about, we're following on from our little puppy conversation last time we spoke,
Mm-hmm.
talking about the importance or whatever of socialization with new puppies.
Just new puppies? Are we
Old
doing
puppies?
dogs next time?
Can do. Can do, yeah. Or we can, yeah, see how far we get, shall we?
Okay, cool. Cool. So, are we looking at different breeds, or are we looking at any particular breed, or general socialization and then breed specific socialization?
Well, let's try not to
20
complicate it.
questions.
Let's try not to complicate it too much. I suppose blah, blah, blah. I suppose,
Really?
yeah, you following?
Got that.
I suppose socialization is really confusing for people, isn't it? Because it's people always think it's the more the merrier, and you've got to get out and you've got like a checklist. If you've got to meet a motorcyclist in a helmet, you've got to meet someone in a wheelchair, you've got to see someone with a child, you've got to do, tick all this off, which is kind of probably pretty unachievable, really, for a lot of people.
Uh-huh.
But I just, for me, it doesn't have to be, you don't have to meet all of those things. The puppy during the critical development stage has to just encounter various types of stimuli, so different things that is novel and new, and they then overcome through their curiosity any kind of initial surprise or fear that they have.
Uh-huh.
And then they generalize that so they don't have to meet everything. So if they've seen someone sweeping the streets and had a little kind of, oh, what's that? Little recoil,
Uh-huh.
and then gone over and thought, oh, this is nice. Then actually other things like that in the future become more accepted through that experience. What do you think?
You
Shut
stopped
up,
for a
Ross.
breath. That was, you didn't stop for a breath and all of that. Yes, ish.
Mhm.
So I think if you need to socialize your dog in the way that it's going to be living in the future. So like I don't take my dogs on trains
No,
because I don't take my dogs on trains.
no.
It's highly, it's really, really unlikely that I'll take a dog on a train. But if I do, it wouldn't be until they were older and I'd developed the bond and they trusted me. So when I got on a train, they would happily follow me on the train.
Yeah.
But with puppies, I wouldn't. I think I think if you look at them from like a species and like direct descendants of wolves, who've still got that like wolf pack element in it, then they leave the pack, they leave the boundaries of the environment at about 4 months old. They start really exploring, but anything that they don't see within that 4 months, they become wary of, and that's like my basis for socialization. What am I going to be doing with my dog? I try and get that in within the 4 month, because in their psyche, if they haven't seen it within 4 months, then it's not part of their world.
So you'd have to make sure your dog saw a black man and someone in a burqa and
no, because there's nobody in burqas around here.
Okay.
I'm in Scotland, Ross.
Okay, fair enough.
I'm in the country in Scotland. It ain't going to happen.
Okay.
You watch, somebody's going to walk up the path now.
Yeah, someone will be around in a burqa.
But I think, like, if you live in, say, for example, if you lived in the centre of Glasgow, and people are walking around with burqas on, then you would expose your dog to them, not necessarily under 4 months, but you would certainly, if you're going to be walking through the city every day with your dog, then it's, you know, you would want to expose the young dog to that, so that when it becomes older, it's not, because it's much harder dealing with a dog that's wary when it's older and stronger than it is with a little puppy.
Yes, I think, I mean, what I was referring to really is almost pretty similar to what you just said about, for example, like my dogs, I don't make a point of taking a puppy in a lift because I don't live in an apartment building. I don't need my dogs to be in a lift. Yeah. However, the other day I was in a hotel and I took the lift with the dog, and they're cool with that because they're with me and they've done lots of other things. They don't just walk to the park and walk home. They do lots of other things and see lots. So actually, that's the first time experience for a dog at like 2.5 to go up in a lift, but it's completely cool.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, relationship with me and the fact that they can cope with unusual situations because that's what they've been presented with throughout life.
Yeah, I think that's really important, because if your dog's living in this little bubble, and at some point you take the dog outside the bubble, then you're going to put the dog in overwhelm potentially. Whereas if you do different things with your dog and it has different experiences, then it learns how to cope, like mentally, how to mentally cope with things.
Yeah.
And also if you put them on different surfaces as well. I can remember, and I can't remember what lift, we stayed in a hotel and the lift was like really fast. And you had that like tickly tummy moment when the lift went down. And I can imagine that being a bit odd for the dogs, you know,
yes.
a little bit disorientating, had they not have done other things.
Yes.
And had like the legs moving away from under them and stuff like that, you know.
Well, like you said as well, it's like you don't have to go on a train, do you? But I mean, obviously, if you were traveling on a train regularly, you were planning to, then you would. But just because you haven't done that during the socialization period doesn't mean you can't get on the train with your dog now, because of all the other things that you've done. The dog trusts you to keep it safe, doesn't it? Because of your relationship and everything else.
Is there much train travel down south with dogs?
People do travel on the tube quite a bit.
Do they? Okay.
I don't, although I could get a carriage to myself, couldn't I?
Yeah, check your Roddy's on there.
Travel at rush hour. Just, don't go on that carriage. Yeah, people do travel. A lot of people take the dogs into the office and things.
Yeah, it's really changing, isn't it? Yeah, I think the other thing with socialization is that you should exposing your dog to something is different to letting your dog go over and say hello and play. Yeah, and I think for me that's like the key thing really with socialization. So my dogs are like, we walk past fields of cows and sheep all the time, and I don't expect them to go over and say hello to them, because I've never introduced them to cows or sheep or horses. I've taught them to ignore them.
Would you call that habituation?
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's literally that a horse is no different to a washing machine. It's something that you see in the environment that is absolutely nothing to do with you.
Except with Emrys, as soon as I open the washing machine door, he dives in there to get the little washing machine ball out.
Oh, does he?
Yeah, he always has ever since he was tiny. He's like, come on, open it up. Let me get the ball. Let me get the ball.
That's handy.
So yeah, no, it's just a piece of the environment to be ignored, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just nothing to do with it's not
Nothing to
socialise,
do
it's
with
not
you.
fun and play, is it? It's just
No.
they're there, you're here, and that's that.
Do you class socialisation as play? Because I don't. I class it as, for me, socialisation is being comfortable around their own species, being comfortable in their own skin around their own species, whether that's ignoring them, playing with them, hanging out with them. It's not all about play.
No, it's not
It's
all
just
about
being
play.
comfortable with our own species.
I find it, I mean, that the dog on dog socialization stuff, I find is probably the most complex. So you mentioned a little while ago about sort of that breed specific and, traits and things. So I tend with my own puppies, I don't ever let them approach other dogs because I don't want that in the future. I don't want them thinking that that's what they do, because they don't. However, I do have dogs run over to me, and that's when puppies get their kind of physical engagement, when other dogs run to the puppy. But to different breeds. I mean, I went out day before yesterday with a 6-month-old German Shepherd that's barking and lunging at dogs and kids and everything else. And that dog now needed earlier on, but we're just on the cusp of we can just about get away with doing it now. It needs masses of dog on dog engagement to develop a normal, balanced kind of character. Whereas if you did that with one of your Labradors, allowed loads and loads of engagement,
nightmare,
you'd end up with an absolute nightmare. And actually, this girl who's raising the German Shepherd has had Labradors previously, so she's done a really good job of like training and whatever. That's all established, but she socialized this German Shepherd like she has the Labradors, and it's not enough. The breed itself needs, why it is, I don't know, because they're quite a sensitive breed. If they don't have that real kind of social learning from engagement with other dogs, they just end up being really clumsy and weird, and they often rush at other dogs and then don't know what to do when they get there, and that then all escalates into like quite an aggressive dog in the future. So I think it's, you need to be aware of the kind of the breed type that you have, don't you, and then go on to look at the individual.
And in relation to people as well, because the guarding breeds, if they're not socialized correctly, then they can become very, very guarding. I know people who say, German Shepherds are like really easy to train, like obedience wise, just normal training, compared with the labs. And it's like, well, yeah, because their breed is to be with you, whereas the Gundog breed is to be away from you, and in their nose and hunting and retrieving. And everything about them is so different. Socialization with people as well is really different too. Like, try to keep my labs away from people as much as I can because they just end up thugs.
Yeah, no, exactly. And I mean, I saw a lot during lockdown, or just as we came out of lockdown, I saw a number of German Shepherds that were problematic because they had not had anybody in the house. And now they're, 12, 18, 24 months old, and people are visiting and they're just like, this is not how we roll. Because they just haven't had that exposure. But it's very different. And I think the social contact and the petting and stuff with the German Shepherd puppy is very different to what you do with your Labrador, obviously, because your lab will be absolutely over the top with your visitors and dreadful. And if you don't do sufficient, your German Shepherd will just be barking and, all the
lunging and It is interesting because Emrys was a lockdown puppy, and you had a lockdown puppy as well, because we got them at the same time, didn't we?
Yeah, never mind, just a couple of weeks after you, didn't I?
Yeah. And it was interesting when I went to obedience, because I tried getting them in the obedience class for socialization more than anything else, and or rather not socialization, but just chilling out around other dogs, getting them in a class situation. And I couldn't go because the first time it was closed because of lockdown, and then I had an operation, and then they were full, and then eventually I got there when he was about 1.5 years. And it was really interesting because it's an obedience class. It was like all the different breeds. So when you go in, there was all the puppy classes first, and then we had to go over the whole of the intermediates. And it was, so the puppies were at the back, there was the intermediates, and then there was the advanced. And it was really interesting watching them because they were all lockdown dogs. Pretty much every dog in the hall was a lockdown dog. It was so interesting watching them. And there was a German Shepherd there. She kept going for Emrys.
Yeah.
He was barking because the dogs were having a great time. You know, you could see all the puppies playing and doing retrieves. And so he started barking. He became a barker. But it was really interesting. You know, the Vizsla would snap and then hide. So it would come forward, snap, and then hide under the chain. Come forward, snap, and hide under the chain. And it was really interesting just watching how the lack of interaction with our own species and also with lots of people, how the young dogs were all reacting to it. It was so interesting.
Yeah, it's all quite typical, isn't it? Like you say about the Vizsla and whatever, it's kind of that you would expect that kind of behavior from them in those circumstances, as you would with the lab and as you would with the shepherd. And I think it's the knowledge of the different breeds that enables you to sort of look at tailoring a socialization plan specific to a kind of the need of the breed. Although you do have, obviously, dogs that are not typical examples of that. You could have a German Shepherd that's more like a Labrador in temperament, and so you wouldn't do all the things you would do with other German Shepherds. You could have a Labrador that perhaps is quite timid or too bullshit or whatever, but just not typical example of the breed. You have to roll with that, don't you then?
And yeah, I mean, because there's no real difference between nature and nurture. So when the puppies go to the owners, it's like it's environment, it's the person, and your personality really rubs off on the dog as well. Because I always think that you get the dog that you need at that moment in time. It's not always the dog that you want.
No, it's not.
But it's generally the dog that you need. And it'll teach you something. It could be that you have to, like, I've had 4 labs and I've had to socialize them all differently.
Yeah, me too, with the dogs.
Because the temperaments, you know, it's so you can start, like, the common denominator is dog, isn't it? So you go, right, this is a dog, this is what a dog needs. And these are the stages it goes through as part of its development from puppy to dog. And then you go, right, okay, that's the dog stuff. And then you've got the like the group, like the guardian group, the herding group, the Gundog group. And you can take that into account. And then you go, right, within that Gundog group, I've actually got a Labrador. So now I need to look at, like, different Labrador traits and what I need to do for a lab. And then I need to look at my individual dog's genetics and what are the parents like. And then I need to look at the environment as well. Yeah. So the way I brought my dogs up if I was living in a town would be really different to what I'm doing with them now.
Yeah, it is different. I mean, it reminds me, all of that conversation you just said reminds me of Ida, female I've got. She's like 7.5. You know, at the time,
she's 7.5 already.
Yeah, she is. Yeah, well, 7.5 years of a nightmare. You know, I found her really difficult to start with. I had loads of problems with her when I first, literally from day one.
We had a few phone calls.
Yeah, she was dreadful, and really, I don't know whether there's something wrong with her or whether it's just she was really super friendly with everybody, like right from like to an excess. You know, she'd see people across the other side of the street and she'd be wanting to go over, she'd be wanting to go up to buskers on the street, you know, anything, lunging at people from behind if we're walking behind, trying to grab them with their legs.
I shouldn't laugh because it's really horrible.
This is like 8-9 weeks old, so literally from that point I didn't let anybody touch her, and people thought it was horrible. Like, oh, can we see your puppy? No. Can I touch? No, you're not. Because she would have been awful. And now she's at a point, actually, she's fine. She's fine. But she would have been one of those dogs that was running at people in the park for a cuddle, or, you know, running over and jumping and lunging for, you know, nicely. Yeah. But I just
crashing through their picnics.
Yeah, just kissing them, you know, flooring them and, you know, licking around their faces and everything. But yeah, so literally she ignores everybody in the street and everything, and has done pretty much from the outset with a bit of hard work. But that's not how I'd raised other puppies, you know, telling everybody, no, don't go near her. When people came in the house, I was like, no, she's out in the crate, she's out of the way, don't touch her, don't look at her. which is horrible. But I just knew that if I allowed that physical contact and things that you might do with a puppy, going to the pub and things like that, and people coming over to say hello, like, no, can't have any of that.
Welcome to my world.
Yeah, I don't. It really is not a trait that I like in dogs at all. That I don't like it. I think that your dog is yours and it should be with you. I don't want my dog being like that at all. Hence, I like guarding breeds. I don't want a dog that's everybody's friend.
Yeah.
And now I've got one that's, like that. And I don't know, like you said, whether you get the dog you need. I certainly didn't want her. And I think possibly she got the owner she needed, as opposed to me getting the dog I needed.
Yeah.
Because I'm not sure anybody else would cut you, just, take her back, for sure.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because what you described was Emrys, actually, and also Ziggy.
I remember you saying about Emrys, and I thought, oh, thank God I haven't got that again.
Yeah, he was like, people smile at him in the street and he would do a whole body wag, and he would be spinning towards them, and everything about him would be like. And there's an old guy in the village, and he's really lovely. He's really, really old. And he always has sweeties in his pockets for the dogs.
Yeah.
And 50 paces away, he's like this, walking to the dog.
Yeah, I know.
And you end up with this really strong Labrador, like complete body wag at the end of the lead.
Yeah.
And it took me a good year to get him to just sit quietly and ignore this chap or just walk past him.
Yeah.
He real headache, And if he hears children, again, I would take him out and train them. And because there's a school about 500 yards that way, little kiddies school, and he'd hear them and he'd get really excited in the house so he could hear them playing.
Yeah.
You think, no.
No, it's really hard work, because you would think, actually, if you had a dog that was kind of fearful or, I don't know, aggressive or whatever, would be harder work. But having a dog that's, I don't know what I wouldn't even call Ida over friendly. I think she's like got this social kind of anxiety almost, because she doesn't quite know what to do with it. And she's, oh, hello. And then actually, if you put too much pressure on her, she's like growling because she can't cope with it. Yeah. Okay. So she just doesn't like it. But you would look at her and think she does. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
It's a bizarre thing.
But they're the kind of temperaments that can very quickly turn to bite us when they're young, because the classic is, you've got a timid puppy or a young dog going in adolescence, and like that it's almost like appeasement, isn't it? It's almost like appeasement behavior.
Yeah, excessive, like appeasement.
It is, isn't it? And they come in, they're kind of all wriggly and they're down and appeasing and licking their lips, and they might flip over and show their tummy, and people overcrowd them, and then they get completely overwhelmed and just that's it.
Yeah, totally. And people, if like visitors come and like stroke her and stuff, because she'll sit there and she looks a bit special anyway, don't she? She's got a fun, she sits there, special little face looking up at you. People think she's fabulous, they love her. And they stroke her, and I say she doesn't like that. She doesn't like it. She really, she's there and she's panting and she's, she doesn't like it. You can carry on touching her if you want, but she doesn't like it. Most people then stop and didn't realise. But
well, yeah, if you say, my Rodney doesn't like that, most people go, okay, hands off.
Yeah. But it's interesting because again, like
you're saying, Labrador, and you go, he's not really enjoying it. Oh no, he loves it. I love dogs. Look.
Yeah, give him a kiss on the head. No, you're saying about sort of the nature and nurture as well. So obviously, with her being a Rottweiler with this social friendly weirdness, equally she's got that inherent guardy behaviour as well, and some of the resource guarding things that come within the breed. So it's a real kind of conflict of a dog. Do you know what I mean? It's very, what you see is not what you get. If you were to do like an assessment of her in 10 minutes coming into my house, you get that very wrong as to what she is. You know what I mean? So, but it's the socialization aspect is very complex with kind of some individuals, isn't it? And of course, if you have like trauma or something, or a puppy has trauma, another dog or a vehicle, that can kind of set you back, can't it?
Yeah. I mean, Amos got attacked when he was a pup. When he was, well, he wasn't a pup. He was more of an adolescent when he was attacked, and it was difficult. I was furious. I thought, this is it.
Yeah.
But he was affected for a little while, but not too long.
No, but it can have like a real impact, can't it? You see often with clients that have like dogs that are aggressive towards other dogs, they don't know why it is, because it was fine and they socialized it and they did whatever. But they didn't realize that some kind of trauma had occurred, causing the dog to be, fearful of dogs onwardly.
But then a lot of trauma occurs at puppy classes and they don't realize it. You take and I think they're on a decline now. I hope that they're on a decline now. These like puppy parties and the dogs hooning around and where you're sitting and they let the puppies run around together, and the big puppies learn how to bully the little puppies. The little puppies end up under the chair really terrified, and the big puppies are in there trying to get at them. And then they wonder why that little puppy, when it hits like maturity between 12 and 18 months, it's like, right, don't come near me. And it's going out there to nail everything. But it goes back to the trauma of being bullied by big dogs and being trapped almost, isn't it? To get that feeling of being trapped.
But a lot of people, they go, I mean, once the puppies are fearful, they go back week on week. They do their 6 or 8 week programs. So you've got 6 or 8 weeks embedding. Other dogs are horrible and frightening.
Yeah.
And when they're out in parks and they get that confidence, then they deal with it, don't they?
Yeah. Attack's the best form of defense. But I think the other thing that happens then is they lose trust in the owner, because the owner's not stepping up. The owners are just sitting there going, oh, come on, count the leg, down the leg. And they're kind of making everything worse. So the dog learns not to trust the owner, because the owner's not going to protect them. And it learns the only way to look after itself is through attacking.
Yeah. And I think, I mean, those socialization classes, as they were called, or puppy socialization class, are the absolute opposite of what socialization. That is not socialization. That is a mess. That's not socialization, is it? That's not how it should happen at all.
So what would you define? How would you? Because time's flown by, because I spent ages talking about accountants.
I know, it's because you're excited about your podcast and your piercing, yeah.
So what would you recommend somebody who's getting a puppy? When would you start the socialization habituation? Because for me, they're two sides of the same coin. So you've got the socialization, allowing species, you've got the habituation of people in the habitat.
Yeah.
And for me, it's about making the unfamiliar familiar. But then, like, when would you start it? How would you start it? Because you have the vets saying they don't go out until they get their second vaccination.
Yeah.
So,
well, personally, I mean, having seen firsthand hundreds of times how dogs develop defective temperaments through being kept in homes until they're sort of 14 weeks old and then socialized. So people say then, well, I socialized the dog. Well, actually, with some of the breeds, like the German Shepherd that we keep mentioning, or Border Collie, whatever, some of those, if you start socialization at 14 weeks, you've missed the boat. So whatever you do at that point has a limited effect. Yeah. So I tend to start with my puppies like at 8 weeks, and I'm careful. I go and sit, I put them in the back of the car, go and sit at Waitrose car park. I carry them down past the tube station. They sit in the back of the car. They just, hear ambulances going past, see other dogs moving about, walking along the streets, see people, see shopping trolleys, see all of that stuff. And then I start walking them and hopefully trying to avoid people, because I find that's always a fly in the ointment. People like coming over to say hello.
Yeah.
Because they're not going to come over and say hello when the dog's 6, 8, 10 months old. And yet your dog's going to then be expecting everybody to love it, and they're not going to. So I find it really unfair that people do that, actually. And I'm quite rude to people occasionally when they...
You're not, are you?
A little bit.
Doesn't start with an F and end with an off, does it?
Oh,
yes.
Well, occasionally, because people just... I was at a hotel with a youngster. He was about 10, 12 weeks old or whatever. And a woman was really sweet. She was sitting at the table next to me. She said, "Oh, can I say hello?" And I said, no, rather that you don't, thank you, just because I don't want to, blah, blah, blah. Explain why I don't want that. Next thing, this other bloody woman comes flying over and just bends down and starts touching him. And I thought, this lovely lady had asked me, and I said no. And then she's just come over and done it.
Help herself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she got told to go forth. Yeah.
Go forth and multiply, huh?
Yeah. Yeah.
People do that, and it's not good. It's not great for the puppies.
It's not. You see it, I mean, really, like Labradors. I know we spend a lot of time talking about Labradors and German Shepherds, really, don't we? But the Labradors, you see it so much because they're so cute. And if you let everybody, stroke come over to it, they just learn everybody loves them. And then people don't love an 8-month-old Labrador jumping up at you in the park when you're trying to take the kids to school. No. Nobody loves that.
No.
But they don't.
Definitely not. And you can't get away. Golden Retrievers and Labradors are just the cutest puppies ever. And people find them irresistible. And my God, all people used to do is smile at Emrys and you'd be up like a whirling dervish.
Yeah, you don't need him being cuddled, do you? I mean, you could end up now, if you hadn't done what you'd done to rein it in, you'd end up with just a horrible dog. Do you know, just a really difficult, horrible dog to take out in public.
Yes. And I think that's the key for me on socialization. It's take some time with a cup of tea and work out what it is you want from your dog and do everything you can in the early months to work towards it. Not from a training perspective, but that should be in your mind. The training perspective should be in the back of your mind. What am I hoping to do with my dog? But from a good manners and being able to take anyway perspective, I don't want to walk my dogs through cities, so that's completely off the radar for me. But I do want my dog to be able to stop dead when it sees like a rabbit or a squirrel. Yeah. And so I keep that in my head all the time when I'm doing the socialization element and the habituation. These are the kind of animals my dogs are going to be seeing a lot of. And I do not want them to chase them at all. No. I don't want them to interact with them at all until I tell them to.
Yeah. And I think a lot of it really just happens because of your environment. So I do live in the city and I do have, it's quite multicultural, quite diverse, dress and whatever else going on. So by default of that, I don't have to go looking for people wearing a turban, but by default, the dogs, they get used to kind of life as it is here with like the noises and, it's busy and whatever. So I don't have to make a special effort to do that. The only effort I have to make is to take the puppy out and manage the puppy around other people whilst I'm out. So I've got busy public parks. I see lots of dogs, see lots of people, have lots of noises. And then I'd go out to the country to do what you do, to walk past cows so they see them and kind of get over their initial kind of curiosity or fear and learn that that's not their thing. And vehicle travel and stuff is really important for me as well because my dogs spend a lot of time traveling with me. They spend a lot of time left in the car. I take them into hotels and dump them off in the rooms and things like that. So those things are important to me, that they can settle. And I think that all comes under the socialization heading, doesn't it? Like my puppy will be used to being put in a hotel room in a crate, possibly with the other dogs present or not, and I come back. So actually, wherever we go, you go in that room, mate, and I'm going for dinner. I'll be back.
Settle down. Yeah, definitely. And it's really nice. So when you go on holiday with your dogs, you can go and settle down with the pub, the pub, put them under the table and forget about them.
Yeah, no, exactly. Or leave them in your holiday cottage or whatever else, knowing that they're not going to be freaking out, eating the
cottage
whilst you're out for dinner. Yeah.
Yeah, lovely taste of wooden log cabins.
Yeah, that would be an expensive holiday, wouldn't it? That
it would be a really expensive holiday. It would be a really expensive holiday.
No, that would. But no, I think it's it's horses for courses, really, isn't it? I think it's for people to do the research into the breed and socialize, but equally it needs to be kind of fluid. You don't make your socialization plan, this is what I'm going to do for 4 weeks.
No,
it's dynamic. Is that the term we use? But
dynamic's a good word. But also, I mean, the thing is, if you write down, I need to do this today and I need to do that day, all you're doing is putting unnecessary pressure on yourself and your puppy.
Yeah, totally.
And you're going to be knackered. You're not going to be thinking straight when you bring home a puppy.
No,
You
I
know,
mean,
they're not the stuffing out of you.
yeah. Well, I always say to people, puppies don't need exercise, do they? They get all they need around the home and garden or whatever. But so all of your excursions are for the purpose of socialization and habituation. So just think about where you're going. Don't just go to the park because you think that that's what you do with dogs. Go and sit and have coffee. Go and sit and have, lunch at a pub or whatever else. It's the things like that, isn't it? That, or sitting on a park bench or sitting in the back of the car, whatever it is, just watching the world go by.
It is, definitely. I was going to be cheeky there, but I won't. No, I will. Take like a folding up trellis fence with you to keep all the people away from your puppy when you're eating.
You need to take
sneak in when you're not looking.
You need to take a shotgun.
take a cattle prod with you.
Yeah. Just as you see them coming over towards you, just take some bite back spray or something. It's
bite
really
back spray.
Yeah. Have you not seen? It's a spray. I don't know what's in it really. It's legal. It's like mace, but you can take it for a walk with you, to use if you get another dog attack or something.
Oh, I haven't seen that.
Google it. Google's your friend.
Google's always my friend.
Yeah, bite back spray. I haven't got any actually, but I'm going to order some.
Bite back spray. That's a good idea, isn't it?
Yeah.
Google is my friend, but not as good as Amazon. Amazon's my big friend.
Well, Amazon,
because Amazon, you can order it, can't you?
Well, Amazon, they'll be round in about 10 minutes with it, won't they?
Bite back spray. I've not come in. Have you seen the Kevlar? We are going away from the topic, but have you seen the Kevlar vests for dogs?
No, but didn't you buy me some Kevlar sleeves?
Yes, I've still got them.
I've still got them.
Kevlar sleeves. You put them on your ankles, don't you?
Sometimes if I'm going to see like an aggressive little dog or something, then I'll put them around my calves, really. Which they're not the most comfortable, but just if you get a little nip on the back of your leg, it's really
well, it stops you getting a puncture wound, doesn't it?
Yeah, then it's painful. It's painful. I got bitten by a chihuahua on the back of my leg, and that was, it's only a chihuahua. It's about, his mouth is the size of a thimble, but it hurt.
Ouch.
Yeah, it blooming hurt. Pinch.
It's when they get hold of you, like with the incisors, and they just nip.
Well, anything hurts.
Like a blood blister.
Yeah, my German Shepherd, he used to come over, Vico, he used to come over and nibble me affectionately, with his front teeth. Blinking hurt. It was a nice little affectionate, but no, that hurt. So, yeah. Tell me about the Kevlar vest before we go then.
Oh, well, there's again, dog attacks. There's a dog got attacked in the village, ended up losing an eye. The attack was so bad, and the dog got hold of him by the scruff and damaged his eye. So the dog lost an eye. But I recommended her, you can get the dog coats, and the Kevlar and the high on the neck.
Nice.
And you wrap them up around the neck, and they anti-bite vests for dogs. And I think they're a really good idea.
Oh, that's a really good idea. I definitely, if I had the small breeds like chihuahuas and things like that, I would definitely have that.
Yeah. I mean, it wouldn't prevent a crush injury, but the sleeves that we've got, it takes the edge off the crush injury, but it prevents the puncture.
Yeah.
So yeah.
No, I'd have spiked collar on my chihuahua and things. You know what I mean?
I've seen people with staffies and the bullies, and they've got the prong collars on them inside out.
Yes,
so the spikes are sticking out.
Yeah. No,
there you go. Embedded inside out prong collar on a Kevlar vest.
Safe as
How's
houses.
that?
Safe as houses. Yeah, no, it's a worry.
You just wouldn't be able to grab your dog if it started running away, though, would you?
No. No. Oh God, but it's a sad world we live in, isn't it? When we have to go out with bite back spray and Kevlar vests on your dog and all that.
Sorry, I had a blonde moment. I forgot what I was looking for. Yeah, canine bite back dog deterrent spray, 600 mils, £68. quite expensive, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's only for emergencies.
Yeah, it's a vape cloud around the dog's face, effectively masking the inhaled air with the smell and taste of the product. It deters the dog's natural impulse to bite. Okay, it lasts for 10 to 20 minutes. The impact of it lasts 10 to 20 minutes.
Yes.
I presume it goes straight in the shelf and it takes like 20 minutes for the shelf to empty.
Well, yeah, like I said, just emergency use, isn't it? But it's handy to have in your bag.
Yeah, definitely.
You never know
Got
what you're
5-star
going to
reviews
encounter.
as well.
Yeah.
But hopefully you wouldn't need that, and without scaring everybody, hopefully you wouldn't need it if you were out with your puppy.
No, hopefully you wouldn't. No. I mean, you do have to be, you see a lot of people out with their puppies being a little bit silly. You don't have to allow engagement with all dogs. Like you said, it's about them being in the environment, isn't it? It's not, and knowing how to not engage as well as how to engage and whatever. But you see people taking their little puppies up to these dogs like Akitas and things, and you just think you don't need to do that. Having palpitations, and you just think don't.
And it's not just like it's not for that the puppy's going to learn to be like overly gregarious with the other dogs, but it's not fair on older dogs to have a puppy shoved in his face.
No, it's
a lot of dogs, like Dante would have run away if a puppy got shoved in his face. He would scar that.
Yeah.
And Spud would have snapped.
Yeah. No, they don't like it. It should be,
putting your dog at risk.
Yeah. I think that, etiquette in the park is a whole nother subject, isn't it? But you shouldn't be expecting other people to raise your puppy for you. It's your job.
We can talk about etiquette next time, because next time we're talking about living with dogs.
You are so smooth.
That was really smooth.
You are
Come on.
smooth. Let's do etiquette. Let's talk about etiquette next time. That's cool.
Okay. Any final words on puppy socialization and socialization?
No, just do it at the right time and research your breed.
And can I just add a bit of common sense, please? Add a bit of common sense in there too.
Yeah. A lot of common sense.
A lot of common sense. Okay, so on that note,
see you next time.
Socialising. See you next time.
Yeah, park etiquette.
Thanks for listening. It's not just gun dogs and not just guard dogs, but all things canine, as we hope you have discovered. Please like, share and subscribe and help us spread a bit of common sense back into dog ownership. And a review wouldn't go amiss either. Catch up with Les and Ross again in about 14 days for more canine conversations. Until next time, stay well and enjoy your dogs. Any dog-related questions or topics, just drop an email to talk@cfba.uk or message us via facebook.com/Gundogs and Guard Dogs podcast.